Welcome, Joe Volpe, publisher of Corriere Canadese, North America's only Italian-language daily paper newspaper, on behalf of Go Live TV, Corriere Media Group, with the comment of the day. And the comment of the day has to do with Canada's immigration policies, plural, and their reflection on virtually everybody else, including the refugee system internationally. So, here's our comment of the day. And it's Italians and or Catholics are unwelcome in Canada. It may seem harsh, but that's a reality. So Canadian immigration policy has no appetite for Italians. It is either short-sighted, uninformed, downright bigoted, or all of the above. It doesn't appear to matter which party is in government. Our government's immigration policies, and it seems there's a new one every month, seem to be generated in a void. You take a look at some of the pictures behind me. Those are the realities that Europeans live with every day. Brexit has raised the issues that strain intra-Europe tensions, which, in turn, threaten the survival of the Union. For better or for worse, that Union, former Yugoslavia aside, has guaranteed peace and prosperity on a continent where war and destruction have been a defining historical feature. Immigration is at the top of the list of those issues, and it has raised old animosities in the United Kingdom and elsewhere. The reverberations are influencing public attitudes towards new arrivals, their religion, their pigmentation, their social norms, and their ability to integrate. The British have hundreds of thousands of continental Europeans, particularly their Polish, Italian, and Portuguese residents, who, if they're in a country after March 30th, if they're in the country after March 30th, 2019, 6 weeks away, without application for permanent residency in the system, would be considered the Canadian equivalent of, quote, undocumented workers, end of quote, and could face extradition. Ironically, over 300,000 Italians who have moved to Britain under the Schengen rules could face deportation. By one estimate, close to Polish authorities, but not authorized to speak on the record, over 1 million Poles in Britain and Ireland have already been, to use a phrase, put on notice. A survey of the popular press from Britain unveils increasingly hostile public reaction to those unwanted immigrants. Canada and its Minister for Immigration, I'm assuming it still has one, seem to be confused about what to do with its own arguably self-induced problem of asylum seekers, otherwise known as refugeeism, and undocumented workers. Now, how it would handle the ripple effects of this potential exodus from Britain? Would it even care? Over the last 4 years, you've seen the images, and you'll continue to see some images, Europeans have been witnessing a veritable inundation of overland migrants motivated by a desire to escape war-torn Middle Eastern countries. In that same period, 600,000 African victims of modern-day people smugglers, slavers, there's no polite description to describe these criminals, and North African warlords operating freely in failed states have found their way nightly into Italian territory aboard dinghies and ferry boats that just as often dump their human cargo in the Mediterranean's watery grave. 2 years ago, the European Union bought the support of Turkey at a price of under 3 billion euro in returning 400,000 Syrians, Kurds, and others back to their homeland. Ironically, over the last 5 years, Italians themselves have been leaving the peninsula by the hundreds of thousands. The unemployment rate in parts of Italy among the prize cohort of 19 to 39-year-olds approaches the 40% mark. These are young men and women, educated or trained and willing to work, looking to build a future elsewhere at no cost to the host country. Now, Canada has been deliberately keeping them, Poles, Portuguese, and other Europeans out, hiding behind a language-based policy, the IELTS exams, as justification. Now, over the last 15 years, deterred first by the hostile Harper government, then by the indifference of the Trudeau regime, Italians have chosen the more welcoming environments of pre-Brexit England, Germany, France, Australia, the United States, and Brazil. Countries where the language requirement does not seem to be a requisite for success. Migrantes, it's a think tank publication that charts demographic movements in and out of Italy from villages, towns, cities with monthly regularity. Try to get some information from the Canadian authorities. You grow old getting it. We have cited its works for 5 years, as have the Italian equivalent of StatsCan. Now, Migrantes has caught the attention of Breitbart News. It notes that between 2005 and 2015, 10-year period, 10,000 doctors and 8,000 nurses left Italy. Breitbart considers it a veritable brain drain, and it is, for Italy, and a brain gain. They're wrong. It's more like a windfall for host countries. Canada probably couldn't use any of them. I apologize for my sarcasm. The Italian state invests $250,000 in training a doctor. That's what it costs to produce a doctor. The moment they get into university and the moment they get their certificate. This is money that the Canadian provinces would not have to invest, and they get a ready-to-go trainee for cash-strapped healthcare jurisdictions. Now, whether the government MPs or opposition politicals that refrain from the Canadian legislative representatives is always the same. Blah, 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 blah. We need to respect the rules. We need to respect the process. Yet, on a whim, Canada's Prime Minister could tweet a $50 million commitment to a pet project promoted by U.S. comedian Trevor Noah. Joe Volpe for Corriere Canadese, for Go Live TV and Corriere Media Group, thanking you for watching us and inviting you to follow us on all social media or hard copy Corriere Canadese. We'll follow with an Italian comment in a few moments. Ciao.